Okay, today we're going to take a look at the deluxe version of the Tik-Tok. It's a deluxe because this time it's got a wind-up key. As you know, I don't edit videos, but if I did, I would put in a fake ratcheting a wind-up sound here to fake people out like it's actually being wound up. And then if you turn it on, you not only get the walking action, but then you get the key action as well. And of course you still have the emerald green light up eyes. Okay, we're going to take a look at some of the build pictures. Trying to turn it off, but I'm turning the switch in the on position. Not very clever of me. So hang on, we're going to move the camera around. It's going to be the old slideshow effect here, because I found I can't do it in real time trying to run the camera and do the build myself. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the inside of the top part of the body. Here's the new motor that's being used to run the crank. It only draws about 13 milliamps. It's a 3 volt, 15 RPM N20 motor, and it fits down in here. This section right here provides two places to put magnets. The top of the body on this robot, as I've shown in other videos, is held on with magnets. There's that part. There's the N20 motor up in there, as you can see. And you just need to get the wiring situated, and then the magnets hold everything together. So I wanted to show where the motor goes for the key. Here's the back side, here's the key holders, the motor shaft sticking out. This is a small screwdriver, and that's one of the magnets. I'm gluing it up into this hole up in here. This plate is going to go down on the bottom part, and it does a couple things. One, it secures the walking motor in place. It secures the battery box, and these holes provide places where a magnet could be placed depending on how you orient everything. In my particular case, the motor wires are going to come up through here, so the magnet needs to be in this corner. And of course you set the magnet so it's attracted to the one that's in the top part of the body. This whole white piece will get glued down into place. This is the inside of the front of the head. As one of the emerald eyes, I basically glue them into place and then glue LEDs on top of those. And these are green LEDs. They light up green anyway. Here's the back of the head. Here's the slide switch and the screws they use to hold it in place. The shaft on the particular slide switches that I had aren't long enough. It actually comes out completely flush, so if you had fingernails that'd be fine. But if you're like me and you don't have fingernails, because I keep them trimmed, I ended up drilling and put a small screw in the end of that, so I have something that I can grab and move more easily. So these are the screws that are holding the switch in place, and this screw is the one I slide back and forth. The arms, originally they're designed like this as one piece with the arm, but if you printed it that way you'd have to use a lot of supports, and because there's so much detail it would just goof up the way it looks. So I cut the file into two pieces so that these flat parts print flat on the bed without any supports, and I don't clean up any of the little wisps or anything until after they're all glued together. So this piece would get glued onto here. Once it's glued and secured, then I can go back and clean up any little hair pieces that are on there. Of course, the bottoms of the feet, in order to make the toy more stable, rock. Not front to back, but side to side. And these are paper clips that I straightened out to form little nub axles, and then put little drops of glue on there to hold the paper clips in place. Here's the N20 dual shaft motor. It's a 3 volt 30 RPM. Put on the two cams, put on the two push rods for the pins. It sits straight down in here, and like I say, the motor wires come out there. Then this white part that we already talked about gets glued with a drop of glue there and a drop of glue here, and that holds the the motor in place. Here I'm getting ready to put it on there. And there it is in place. Here's bringing the wires up. I have to bring the 2 motor wires up, the 2 battery wires up, the motor wire for the crank, for the windup, and the wires from the LEDs. That's a current limiting resistor on the LED. In this particular case, the slide switches I'm using are break before make, and what that means is the 2 outside ones would never come in contact with each other no matter what position the slide switch is in. And that's handy because that way I can bring up the positive wire from the battery to one side, and I can bring up the negative side of the battery to the other. I don't have to worry about those ever shorting together, but that gives me a place to bring all my negative. I have the 2 wires from the motors that are going to be negative. They can join the battery one there. Have the negative wire from the LED can join there. Neatens everything up. Then the center, of course, is the one that's getting turned on or off, depending how you want to look at it. So the positive from the LEDs can go in the center, and the positive from the wind-up crank can go there, and the walking leg can all go there. Gives a place to hook everything up and keep it nice and neat. And here's the front flipped around so you can see the eyes. And this is showing how since the magnet and this low part is on this side, I need to route my extra wires over to this side when I snap it down, and that magnet's going to be attracted to the magnet that we glued up in there earlier. Last thing I put on is the arms. They're the most fragile part of the build, and I just put a drop of glue on the shoulder axle and jam it in the hole. And these are just pictures of it from different angles, but you don't really need that because you got the real deal sitting right down here somewheres. So let's turn it back on again. In fact, maybe have it walk so you can enjoy the crank too. I like that the little motors are very quiet, that they draw very little power. Altogether with the LEDs and both motors running, the whole thing's less than 50 milliamps, so that going to run a long time on the 2 AAA batteries. So there you have it. It's the deluxe version of the Tik-Tok robot, 3D printed.